Welcome to Monday Night Live, the weekly training that guides professionals to financial prosperity. Join our community and let's start building your wealth.
One of the keys to success is to having a quiet, isolated environment. One room in your house where you can put a sign on the door. And that's literally what I do. I'll just say, please do not disturb, do not open door while this sign is on the door. And usually adults will honor that. It's the children, they don't, that doesn't mean anything to them, especially if they're 5 and under. That applies to everybody else but them. So not only that, the sign's usually probably way above their head. So I get it, but sometimes you just need support from other family members to take the kids somewhere, keep them busy. Because I got to tell you, it's having that isolated, quiet time it's one of the most important things because you're in such an intense, heightened state of focus when you're doing these exercises. So the way you prepare for this part two, which is tonight, which is goals, is exactly the same way you prepare for your vision. The same exact preparation. You know, make sure your breathing is stable and lowered, your heart rate's lowered. You could even take your pulse if you want. And in fact, another thing that if you have a blood pressure monitor, a lot of us really don't, but you can take that because a lot of times when we work, um, you get tense, right? You start your focus, you kind of tense up. You're not even aware of it; it's subconscious, but that actually will raise your blood pressure. Do you guys know that? It's actually falls within the general realm of hypertension. You're hypertense, and it's not like it's an unhealthy thing, generally speaking. But if you take it to an extreme, or you abuse it, or you're hypertense for like crisis moments, tense moments like that could develop into a problem. Like if you're an EMT or a police officer or fireman, um, that again, that's sort of a hypertensive state, and that's what hypertension is. So now, what you don't want to have happen is have that develop into like a recurring phenomenon with yourself, because then you've got to take high blood pressure medication, which not the end of the world. As you age, by the way, your blood pressure will tend to go up over time. That's not everybody, but that's sort of a generalization. So um, I'm not. I don't want to scare you. Doing the exercise is not an unhealthy thing. It's a very healthy thing. It actually will lower your blood pressure. So keep that in mind. Um, okay, we got some other folks on. Tom Wall, good to see you, buddy. Kevin Keller, good to see you. Um, let's see. Everybody else, I think we've got. So let's do this. Did anyone raise your hand if you had the opportunity to do the vision exercise in the last week? I know we have a lot of us said we did not have a chance to do that. So nobody had a chance to do it. Oh, you did it, Kurt. Cool. Hey, Kurt, go ahead and unmute yourself if you don't mind. I'm gonna volunteer you, just like in the military.
Oh,
You just
great.
got volunteered. And now nobody will raise their hand for the rest of the night. But so Kurt, when you did the exercise, were you able to? And by the way, I know where you live, and it's unbelievably beautiful. There's scenery around there. So did you just stay indoors and have a place like looking out a window when you did the exercise?
Yeah, pretty much where I'm sitting right now, more or less.
Okay. All right. Good. And if you don't mind me asking, how long do you think you spent from start to finish? Like start preparing, getting your chair ready and
To be
sitting.
honest, I'm still working on it, but I do have the bulk of it. And also, to be honest, I think about this like all for 6 months, right? Or like kind of like, okay, got this idea, let's kind of fine tune it. But yeah, I would say I spent about an hour on it.
Okay.
Um, but that's just sitting there writing. It's always on my mind.
Yeah. Good. Now, how about and I thought about this today. I was speaking with Deb Warner on a one-on-one. And do you guys remember when I talked about the environments, how we all have several environments, or, our physical body's an environment, our home is an environment, our friends are an environment. You guys remember that part of the discussion from last week? So I actually have a diagram of that. I'm going to see if I can find it, and I'll send it out to everyone. Okay, and it's basically a circle, a wheel, and the 9 environments are carved in there. Now, a little bit of kind of elaboration on that. Some of us may have 7 environments. Some may have 11 or 13 or 10 or 12. Um, Generally speaking, the younger you are, like a an infant, and people who are advanced and maybe in the latter stages of their lives have fewer environments. Their environments are limited. It's them, their home that they live in. They're generally not going out much anymore or at all if they're an infant. Okay. Um, and their family, mainly their main environments, right? Um, Infants are generally are not aware of the separation between mind and body and their spirits and so forth. They're just not aware of it. Um, so uh, usually people who are high school to you know active senior citizens still have an average of 9 environments. So I'm going to kind of go over those, you know, and give you, if you want to write these down until I can find that diagram. But you're starting with yourself, your physical body's an environment, your mind's an environment, your higher self, your subconscious or your spirit, that's an environment. Okay, your job or vocation, that's environment. Um, the neighborhood you live in, the area, right? That's an environment. And believe it or not, your town, your city, county, that's an environment. Um, your the what you have money wise, your investment, that's actually an environment. Um, so those are some of the main categories of environments. I think I mentioned friends, family members. Um, those are all of your environments. So when you're writing, you want to kind of cover those different environments. Okay. I didn't count those up, so I don't know if I write it off 8 or 10 or 9. I'm not sure. Um, it was anybody writing those
Too many to
environments?
keep up.
Do you want to keep up? Um, so let's just do this. So physical body, 1, mind is 2, your higher self is 3, right? Your family is 4, friends are 5, the where you live, your house, home, apartment, that's 6, your neighborhood is 7, your town/county is 8, and 9 is like your investments and money and so forth. Okay. Um, so those are, now you might have some of those or all of those, you might have more. Some of you have, like hobbies, something you do, you play the piano, you're volunteer for an outdoor club or something. Um, that could loosely fall into your community or your friends, but really, if you have something like that you're passionate about, I would consider that an environment. It's anything that you invest time and energy into. Okay, that's an environment. So, and the reason why we want to understand all these is they are all related to each other. So you want to write about all of those. You want to write, have some form of vision that uh, pertains to each of those environments. And when you put them in a circle, you realize how they're related and interrelated, right? So we've all heard that, the healthier you are, the better you feel physically. Generally, the healthier you are, and better you feel mentally and emotionally, right? And as you succeed in your business, your vocation, or your job, generally you have more money to invest and so forth. And by the way, you have more money to pursue hobbies or like travel, for example, or you can use it to bless others like your family or friends. So any environment can have to a lesser or greater degree an impact on the other environments. So when you impact one environment, just know you're going to impact other environments to either some to a small degree, some to a large degree. And there is a ripple effect, as you impact a second or third environment, those have other environments that they're more closely related to. Does that make sense, guys? The way I'm describing that? It probably sounds like it's kind of common sense. And it really is. So in any case, when it comes to the goals now, assuming that you have your vision exercise written and you've got your environments all, pretty well covered, and keep writing like Kurt. I mean, there's nothing wrong with adding, modifying, and people do it multiple times a year. I've done that before. This past year, I know at least two people, Brianna Latham and Kendra Dobbins, both have done the vision exercise twice, or the VGAP exercise twice. Okay. For now, and if you have questions on that, feel free to type them in the chat box, or just raise your hand. Okay. So far, so good. Now goals. So assuming you've done the same preparation, you're in a calm state, you're in a quiet state, in a isolated environment where there's no outside interference, and your focus is narrowed into what's directly in front of you, even though you're aware of other things around you in environmental interference, if you want to call it that, dogs barking and things like that. Those, they don't distract you. They don't dominate your mind. You're still able to focus on the task at hand, which is the goals. And what you want to write at the top of your paper, okay, you got your legal pad and your pens and or pencils. At the top, you write, what goals does this person have? This person being the person you described in the vision exercise, right? Which is, you answer the question, on my last day, what do I want to see when I look back on my life? Okay. You're writing a storyboard about yourself, or a movie script, or a letter, however you want to, consider that. So the goals are what type of goals this person has. Now, raise your hand if you've ever been stumped by this before. Like when you're going from vision to goals, yeah, it's a struggle. Like, what's the difference? Am I pretty much spot on, PF? Like, what's the difference between a vision and a goal, and how are they different?
For me, because I do struggle still getting through the vision exercise. And that's why last week I asked if we could focus on one aspect. So when I jump and I try to work on one aspect or one environment for the next year, then when I start to set up some goals for that action, for example, my money environment, I start running into different tangents. And
Okay.
and now that you are kind of like refreshing us a little bit on going through the vision exercise, I'm wondering if it is because I don't have a vision statement complete. So
Yeah.
random thoughts are like flooding in, kind of like unfinished business.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's an excellent description there, because what you're supposed to do when you're writing goals, actually, for any of these four parts, vision, goals, the only exception will be plans, but vision, goals, and actions, is that you don't want to allow your mind to take over your conscious mind, which we call the ego mind or small mind. You don't want that to take over, because what it's intended to do is, what its intended purpose is to analyze and scrutinize and critique and measure and categorize and prioritize all the ISIS, So what you want to do is really just do like a mind dump, a brain dump. You just write. So when you're writing goals, instead of feeling stumped or frustrated because you find it they're coming in randomly, right? You want to focus on the vision of being financially free, for example, and that's the vision financially is to be financially free. So a goal in there might be, well, I want to, by the time I'm 69 years old, have $10 million in investments, something like that. That's one goal. But if you find yourself starting to think through, the thoughts are coming in where I want to travel the world, I want to go to France, and I want to go to Italy, and I want to go to South Africa. Don't worry so much about them, like that they're not in alignment, they're interfering. Still go ahead and write them down. You still want to write them down, because we're actually going to prioritize them and categorize them in the planning exercise, which is after the actions exercise. Okay, so remember that. If you find yourself, what you're writing down, goals, for example, don't seem like they make sense, that's actually okay. So what you want to do is just go with it. And so instead of trying to figure it out, is just go with the flow. Just let it keep flowing through you. And I've had people tell me they would write things down like, I want to learn how to play the piano. Just out of the blue, like, where the heck did that come from? And actually, this particular person, her name was Rebecca, by the way. Um, and I knew her years ago. And turns out when she was a kid, she really wanted to learn how to play the piano, but for some reason, her mom wanted her to learn how to play the violin. And that's what she did in grade school, because you do what you think your parents want you to do. And after all these years, decades, it came out. And sure enough, she started playing the piano that next year. Took lessons and ended up playing in the church choir and so forth. It was kind of neat. So that's what I'm saying. They're coming through to you for a reason, and all you want to do is just document it. Just write it down. Don't worry about if it's in the right category or anything like that at all. It's really hard to do. As I'm going to be the first to tell you, that part of this, the part about, you know, getting past your conscious mind that does all that filtering and all the analyzing, is not easy. But see, that's why we take the preparation time, because the preparation time gets you in the state where you're really operating from the subconscious mind, right? You're going into that theta wave. You're basically going from beta to theta. If you go from theta to delta, you're probably falling asleep. So essentially, you want to be in theta. But the problem is we're so used to living in alpha and beta, where we're using our conscious mind like hyperspeed. All day long, phone calls, emails, meetings. We're in traffic. The radio's on. You get the news post on your screens and on your phone. It's just bombardment of stuff. Billboards. It's just relentless. So your conscious mind is actually rising to the occasion. It's defending you, is what it's doing. It's determining what it's going to let inside the subconscious mind and what is not, and everything else is just going to kind of block out. So that's why we take so much time preparing for the exercise, so you get in the subconscious mind and you find yourself staying in the flow and not letting yourself get caught up in analyzing and categorizing and prioritizing. That comes later. Just tell yourself this: if you find yourself doing that, remember, you're not asleep, you're not being hypnotized or not in a trance. So it's okay to say something like this. Say, hey, I get it. This doesn't make sense, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to keep writing it down. I'm going to stay in the flow, and just use those words. I'm going to stay in the flow, and you'll find yourself staying in the flow and keep writing. And it's actually kind of fun. I've literally written this at one time, probably 8 pages, just one after the other. I just kept going, and I went on for about 2 hours. And now it's the more I do it, it used to take me closer to 4 hours for each part. Now it's more like 2 hours. So if you're only doing it for like 10 minutes, guys, that probably means you weren't able to break out of your daily routine. You're still in that alpha beta state, and your conscious mind is very active, and you're thinking of your to-do list. All those distractions. That's what the conscious mind is designed to do. So it's not like you're good or bad or right or wrong. It's just you're a human being, and it takes practice. So remember that. Practice makes perfect. The more that you do this, the better that you get. In that preparation, when I first learned it, guys, it was foreign to me. I actually was skeptical. I was thinking, I didn't even trust it. I'm thinking, why do I really want to be in my subconscious mind? That's what I was thinking, But, thankfully I had some pretty good teachers along the way, and one of them really helped me see the science behind it. So I understood how it worked. Then I was comfortable with it. Does that make sense? Like, once you understood the science, remember my disc profile is, D, C, then I, then S, but my C was looming large. My background, computer science, NASA, banking, all that highly technical stuff. That was a lot of years of my life. So if you're struggling with this, don't worry, because it's just perfectly natural. Some people take to it like a fish to water. Right out of the gate, they're just cruising right along. They're usually more like the high I's, S's, or SI's. If you're on the left side of this profile, C, CD or DC, you're going to have a harder time in the preparation phase. So just a fact of life. But it just means you're normal. So be normal, be okay, because you're okay. So what I would do, PF, is try it again. Take a day, maybe this weekend, since it's the weekend before Christmas, things will be kind of slow, and time block, take a chunk and devote to it. Make sure you're prepared ahead of time and relax, and then go into it with the intention that you're going to not let your conscious mind take over. You're just simply going to let it do what it does, and you're going to say, "Okay, I understand that's what's supposed to happen. I'm just going to let it go, and I'm going to stay in the flow." And speaking that will help to make that happen. So, guys, does that help a little bit? Yeah, and believe me, I am not a psychiatrist or psychologist. I'm probably the furthest thing from that. I'm probably the one who needs the most help. So, you know, but in any case, it's a lot of learning. I mean, I'm telling you, I've literally read um, several hundred books over the years. I think I lost count at one time. Between cassettes and discs and books and movies and video, probably over 3,000. Um, in fact, just a little side note here, a little side hustle. If you look at the YouTube channel, right, for Global Investor Agent Team YouTube channel, there's a playlist called Book Recommendations. We just started that a few months ago. So I just came up with 10 new book recommendations over the weekend and sent the videos in to be put on that playlist. So you'll see some of the books that I've read and courses I've taken over the years that help an awful lot. So in any case, when you're writing, just keep on writing, and it might help to have your environments kind of listed beside you, or if I can find that diagram, I'll send that to you if you have that at your disposal, because then you can make sure you're covering all your environments. And then back to the original part of your question. If it makes sense to you to break this down and do your vision work on your vocation, being a real estate agent or real estate investor, doing that, and then don't do anything else at that time, that's fine. I don't see any reason why you can't do that. But I will tell you, if you focus on making a complete vision exercise first, then you go to your goals, you'll find yourself when the goals come out, you won't worry so much like, hey, this doesn't fit or it's not in alignment, because you'll know, hey, this fits in with my, the environment of my physical body, for example. It might help you stay focused,
Yeah, exactly. I think that is what it is.
Yeah.
Hi, I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching a recording of the Monday Night Live class. Hope you're getting a lot out of it. I'm sure you will. I wanted to let you know that, you can come to Monday Night Live whenever you want, but you can also participate more with the team. Why don't you set up a call with me, a one-on-one strategy call? I can go over everything with you, show you everything that we have to offer. For example, did you know that on our team, not only do you get your leads, we actually give you your own account on our lead gen system. So this puts you in control. You're not waiting on somebody to hand you leads. You get to pick the ones you want. Okay. Huge difference. We have 21 of our own proprietary marketing campaigns. They're all copyright protected. We're the only ones that can use them. Okay. The coaching is absolutely one-on-one. We got 3 coaches. We even have a 4th success coach that we have access to. Okay. One of left fewer than 100 in the world. Okay. One-on-one coaching. Right now the big problem is volume. We need more transactions. We need more inventory. I get it. Well, we know how to get it. Our team actually outproduces the national average by more than 2 to 1. So if you're struggling, don't do that anymore. If you're a solo agent, if you're a team, let's just talk. Smart entrepreneurs are always open to discussion. Learn what we have to offer, and then you can make an informed decision about staying where you are or moving on. You've got to decide, if you're not where you want to be, you've got to take action to get where you want to be. Let's see how we can help you do that. I look forward to talking to you. Click on the link, set up a call. And by the way, I'll see you on the next Monday Night Live.
Okay. Well, cool. Let's see. So I'm going to kind of elaborate a little bit on what happens next, so this will make more sense. Now, most programs that I've learned in the past, like Stephen Covey's program, where you start with values, like your values at the top of your pyramid, then your goals, and then your plans and your activities. I actually modified that to put the vision on top, then the values, right? Then goals. And then before planning, I inserted another section called action steps. So what I'm getting at is this. ultimately on January 6th, we'll go over how you actually plan this out. How do you take the planning, the goals you created, to plot them out over the next year? And what's interesting is most programs go from goals right to planning. You guys know what I'm talking about? Have you seen those before? Write down your goals and start making your plans. Well, when I did those things before, I struggled because I'm like, I don't even know if I can think of all the things that need to be done to, whatever, buy a 10 unit building this next year. Like that was one of my goals. So I realized I've got to write down all the action steps first. And what I learned to do was do it backwards. So I know if the last step of buying a 10 unit building is going to the settlement and signing the settlement sheet and getting the keys, that's an action item. So I write that down, sign settlement sheet, get keys. Then I thought, okay, what do I have to do before I sign the settlement sheet and get the keys to the new property? Well, I had to go drive to the office. Nowadays, we don't even have to do that. There's a lot of preparation work, right? The title work has to be done. They got to clear out defects in title. They've got to get the approval clear to close from the lender if there's a lender involved. And then that would take me down a whole other path of all these action steps that need to occur. Well, I've actually got to, provide the lender with all my credentials, my financials, my income, expense, asset, liabilities, all that stuff. I got to gather that. Those are all action steps. So what I learned to do is write down as many action steps as I could possibly think of, right, in the third step before I got the planning. Okay. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. It's like you're creating a cheat sheet for yourself. And by the way, of all the 4 steps, the planning part, the actions exercise, we call that the actions database, is a living, breathing document. Okay. You literally want to, every time you think of something, write it in there, an action step, because you can keep reusing that over and over again in coming years. You'll find yourself, it'll be a massive, lots of paper. But when it comes to planning, what you're doing is you're taking the action steps, and I'm going to shortcut this portion here because planning is a lot more involved. But when you're planning, you literally take your action steps from your action database and plot them into your plan. Okay. And so last week I made the comment that when you do this correctly, your plan drives your action steps through the accomplishing your goals, meeting your goals that are in alignment with your vision. Okay. So the planning drives your action steps, your actions that you take in action through the achievement of your goals, which are in alignment with your vision. Okay. That's why we do it that way. And we'll talk more about planning when we get to the planning phase, but we do work it backwards and forwards, usually at least twice for any one goal, and you'll find yourself, pretty much it's a mathematical certainty you're gonna hit your targets. It might not be the exact way you think it's going to be. It might not even be in the exact time frame you think it's going to be. But make no doubt about it. When you're consistent and you're consistent in your actions and you follow the plan, right? And you value your goals and your vision is ingrained. It's internalized. It just, it's like you're literally manifesting what your vision is. You're speaking it into existence. And I'll be first to admit, I don't take credit for it. I credit God. I credit the higher authority, universe, however you want to phrase it. I credit that. And this is what's really important. That's by the way, your connection is your subconscious mind, right? That's your spiritual self, your higher self. When you get into that state and you write that vision statement down, I'm telling you, it's way bigger than you. Okay. It's way, way bigger than you. You are way more capable of far more than you can possibly imagine. Okay. And the way you live that way is by tapping into that higher source. Okay. That's critical. I don't know any other way to do this other than that, because if all you did is just went sort of writing down goals because your neighbor bought a new house, or you want a new house, or you see Jay Kenner driving around in a Rolls Royce, that's all well and good, but that's his life. You have your life, right? And God has a particular intention for you, and who he wants you to be and how he wants you to live your life. And I take that very seriously. So when I write, it's not coming for me. And writers will tell you when their writers flow, it literally feels like it's coming through them, through their hand, through the pen, onto the paper. It's almost like it's automatic. That's what it feels like. And you'll find yourself writing things down that you may have never of your own even thought of, you know. And by the way, the more you do it, it gets bigger and better every year. And your vision starts to evolve. If you think of Maslow's hierarchy, right? At the bottom is, you know, food, shelter, clothing, right? Medication. And you move your way up Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And the top need is self-actualization, right? That's you living your vision, right? The vision that God intended for you. That's what that is. So yeah, if you were stuck down at the lower levels, your goals might be, you know, I want to make sure I have 3 meals a day for the next year. There's nothing wrong with that. By the way, we all live at all 7 levels. We all live at all 7 levels. I don't care how evolved you become, how self-actualized you become. You still need to eat food. Okay. So I'm not trying to make like lower levels don't matter. They absolutely matter. It's like the foundation, right? Self-actualization is at the top. Eating food and staying alive is at the bottom. They're both important. So in any case, as you move up the pyramid, your goals become less material, your visions become less material, they become more altruistic. Like you want to, serve 10 million people or something like that, or you want to help 10 million people have a better life, something like that. That's a big vision, right? So, and I know people, by the way, that do. That's how they live. That's the level they live at. You'll spend more time at that level and less time at the lower levels. So, in any case, I just want to describe that more tonight to you, so it start to make more sense. The more you hear it, the more you practice it, and the more it makes sense, and the better you get. And you'll find that the more you devote yourself to it, the more intentional you are about it over the years, it'll make a huge difference in your life. I mean, it almost beyond what you can measure if you're just starting out. You're going to far exceed what you think you're capable of. I can promise you that. So, has anybody ever experienced this kind of thing before, or met other people who've done this type of work with themselves? Yeah, I'm telling you. It's at first it's like you're taking a leap of faith because you haven't experienced it before. Then you start to have some successes, and some part of your vision starts to become real. You achieve some of your goals. Boy, you talk about feeding you and keeping you motivated and inspired. It takes care of itself. So let me just take a quick pause here because I feel like I'm starting to run away with the microphone. I don't want to do that. I want you guys to be able to participate and ask questions or share. Hey, Dorothy, have you yourself done this type of work before, or have like somebody in your sphere that practices this regularly?
Hi, Gary. Yes, I have. I myself. It's
Good.
gotten me
Well, I
this
see you.
far.
Yeah. Well, I was watching you smiling. I was like, I could tell it was resonating with you, and I figured you'd probably done some of this type of work before. And it really is. It's fun and it's fulfilling. I mean, that's been my experience. Have you found the same thing?
Yeah, very, very much so. It's
Yeah.
basically when I first met you, and I think that's kind of, what kept me following you.
Oh, thanks. Well, it's interesting. Now we still have problems, don't we? We have challenges, family challenges, car
It takes
challenges, business
practice.
challenges.
It's like a muscle.
It is. Yep. You really learn to take it all in stride and realize, just like the song "Let It Be," the Beatles' "Let It Be." That's a great song, by the way. But if you ever want to do something interesting, read Paul McCartney's story about how and why he wrote that song. It might not be what you think it is. It's probably close, but the key is you know, whatever it is you're going through, you're going to get through it. Every one of you have been through something in your life, multiple things. And I know you got through it because you're here. Okay. So just remember, you've got a lifetime of experience of getting through things, right? Challenges with your children, your parents, your jobs, your cars. You always get through it. Life always finds a way. So, um, But no, back to the exercise. As you go through, like I recommend keeping some type of a planner where you can journal and check things off. And what I recommend is have like a green marker. If you can use pencil or pen, if you want a green pen, and check things off as you accomplish them. Because what does that do? When you check things off, what does it do for yourself?
Makes you happy.
Oh yeah,
Dopamine
it's like
release.
it's stoking the fire. Yeah, it actually is stoking the fire. So it really helps you stay on track. And by the way, another good benefit of doing things this way is you're letting your natural abilities, your subconscious mind, do its real work, its best work, which is driving you forward, pulling you forward without you even being aware of it. And I'll give you an example. Um, you know, let's just take a simple, like an example of a car. I mean, I've in my lifetime, of course, I've had multiple cars, flat tires, running out of gas, pulling the muffler. One time, this back 2 months ago, I'm backing out of a Walmart parking spot, and I went from reverse trying to go into drive, and my transmission froze up, completely locked. We couldn't. I mean, people were. The coolest thing is it reaffirmed my faith and belief in the human race. I must have had 8 or 9 people come up to me, and they stayed around too to see if they could help me figure, because I'm blocking the whole lane. I mean, I'm like my car's in the middle of the lane, blocking us. My old self would have been upset. Oh, this really stinks. I'm, cussing and trying to figure out how to push this thing out of the way. It wasn't like that at all. I just stayed calm, and we called the tow truck. We called the Ford Lincoln dealership. I got a Lincoln, and nothing was happening. We found out how to actually override this whole thing, and stuck the little uh, makeshift key into a little slot and hit this button to push the brake in. None of that worked. And all of a sudden, this lady walks up. There's all these guys. I mean, guys like wearing suits, guys wearing tattoos, a whole range of guys, all men, because you had to figure out this car. Well, this lady walks up. She said, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, we're stumped. I'm stuck in the middle of the lane here. Even the tow truck driver couldn't get to my car. Now that's how bad it was, And she said, "Really?" She said, my brother used to be the manager at the local Ford dealership garage." And I said, "Really?" Because Lincoln's a Ford, right? He said, "Let me call him up." She called him up, and we're telling him what we're doing. He's like, "Gee, guys, I don't know. There'll be a recall item. It's got to be something obviously with the transmission." And we were getting ready to hang up. We were stumped. He said, "You know what? One more thing." He said, "Pop the hood, look on top of the engine block between where the manifold is and where the air filter is. Should be a wide open space with a little pin sticking up. And there's a ring that fits over top of it with a long bar, an arm." He said, "See if that's still there." And we're like, "Yeah, it's still there." He says, "Is it connected?" And we're like, "No, it's not connected." He said, "Connect it." We're like, "Really? We're going to be able to move that thing?" He said, "Yeah, it goes back and forth. It moves the transmission back and forth." Moved it up, slipped it over the pin. He said, "Now, I can't tell you how long that's going to last because the bushing that held it in there is no longer there. It probably broke apart." And that's exactly what happened. So I put that thing in there, um, put it in drive, and after 2 hours, drove off. But I made like 7 or 8 new friends there. It was the coolest thing. And I drove to the dealership half hour away, and I realized when I got there, I said, "Wait a second, I think I can fix this myself." So I popped the hood again, looked at it, realized what that little part was, a little bushing, drove back home, got on Amazon, bought the bushing, and 3 days later, now, first time I tried to put it on, my hands are all greasy because I'm trying to clear things out and everything. I dropped the bushing. It went down inside like, oh crap. Of course, underneath has one of those plates. There's no way of finding this thing. So I ordered another bushing, but this time I knew, before I start to put that thing on and dry my hands off, clean them off, and stuff rags all around the perimeter. So if the thing dropped, I would find it. Put it right on. 2 minutes later, the whole thing was done, and total of $15. The dealership wanted several $100s to replace the whole arm, the whole shebang, and I did it all myself. So in any case, what I'm getting at is I never once got upset. I'm like, you know what? What's it going to do for me to get upset? Not only that, there's people around here, right? They can't do anything. I don't want to embarrass myself. We literally are stuck, you know. And we're just looking for an answer. And all of a sudden, and the cool thing was, is that I told the lady, I said, we've been here for about 2 hours. You're the first female that came up, and you brought the solution. I just think that is just absolutely hilarious. And all these guys were cracking up. But any case, what I'm getting is those things happen. I had plans that day. I mean, you guys, here, I'll show you. You can see all day long plans. But what I learned to do years ago is in my plans, block out an hour, usually 2 hours a day, where I'm not planning anything, right? So I can absorb the stuff that pops up. And how long was I at that Walmart parking lot? 2 hours, exactly. Isn't that amazing? So I went back, had supper, got all my stuff done, and went to bed. But what I'm getting at is you don't want to overschedule yourself because stuff's going to happen and you're not going to get everything done. And it's self-defeating. You're telling your conscious mind, right, I didn't get everything done. And it's like a negative impact. But when you don't overplan, you don't overschedule, and you build buffer time in, you're more likely to achieve your goals, right? And here's what's cool. The end of the night, I didn't say, well, I'm going to just put everything off for the rest of the day to tomorrow. I didn't do that. I didn't have to think about it. My subconscious mind kicked in and made sure I got the remaining tasks done without even thinking about it. It was subconscious. And the reason is the vision exercise. Remember, we did that at the subconscious level. It is so important and so ingrained in yourself, it won't let you fail. So even when crap happens, right? And sometimes some really rotten things happen in life, okay? You will find yourself getting it done. You'll get it done by the end of the day. So tomorrow you throw off with a brand new clean slate with your plan intact and you keep moving forward. Whereas the old way was, I got to readjust things, reschedule, get frustrated, can't get to sleep because I'm worried about this stuff. Anybody been there before? Lie in bed at night, that your mind's going a million miles an hour? Yep. This will help with that tremendously. I can't tell. Most nights I go to bed, I would sleep in 60 seconds, maybe even less. I'm out. I wake up, I'm ready to rock and roll. So that's one of the key benefits here is when you don't cut out any of these parts, the main part, the first part, the vision exercise will literally pull you forward in spite of all the crap that happens, So any case, any questions on that? Okay. Does anybody who here raise your hand if you have plotted out time to do the vision exercise just in the next 2 weeks between now and the Monday after Christmas? Okay, good. All right. Lisa, welcome back, by the way. Where'd she go? There you are.
Thank you. Sorry, I had to unmute myself there. Thank you. I got in yesterday afternoon after some delays and cancellations, and I'm just getting everything all back in order.
Yeah. Did you see my one comment on Hawaii's looking pretty good?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And Hawaii always looks good.
Yeah. Yep. I'm gathering that's what's in the background there, right?
This is one of the beaches. Yeah, that's one of the beaches in Kihei. Yeah.
So that I'm gathering, and we probably talked about this in prior years. That being back in Hawaii, or at least being part-time, that's still part of your vision, right?
Always, yes.
Yeah. And you go back there with your kids. I think that's just awesome. You get your grown adult kids, you get to go on vacation with them every year.
Yeah, my daughter joins me because she's a digital nomad, but my son got to join us both this year for the first time, and he hadn't been home in over 20 years. So it was really interesting to spend time with both of them there, and it was fun. And it was really wonderful that all the local people were so good and welcoming to both of my kids because they are Hawaiian by birth, but not by blood. But they were so welcoming. It was wonderful.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you what, let's make sure I think we're going to meet tomorrow, aren't we? We are for 2 sessions.
I double booked you. Yes, sir.
And I'm looking forward to it. I've never been to Hawaii. It's amazing. I've been to all 48 lower 48 states multiple times. And, it's just me, my dumb, stupid head got in the way. I was invited to teach out there twice. And both times I was like, man, it was like between Thanksgiving and Christmas. I'm like, I don't know if I can do it because I want to go there for 2 weeks, right? But with kids and everything, it's just a lot going on. So shame on me for doing that, but I want to get there actually in like February because I want to see the whales and see the waves come in, the surfing up on the North Shore. So,
So, no offense to people of the Philippines, but Hawaii, in my opinion, Hawaii has the best mangoes in the world.
all right.
I ate a lot of fruit while I was there and a lot
Yeah.
of fish and yeah, my kids like to dine, so we ate a lot more than I normally eat. I came home wearing stretchy clothes and getting ready to work out a lot.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
good thing about the fruit over there is that you can literally walk around in the neighborhood and pick it up from somebody's lawn.
Yeah.
We used to do that with apples when we were kids. We'd get all the apples from around the neighborhood, put them in our wagons and drive them around and sell them for a nickel. And looking back, all those people were just being nice to us, I think.
It was
Just
really
getting
nice to
so-
be warm all the time. And the other thing is people on the drivers are so much more polite. And they let
Mhm.
you turn left, they wave at you. It's not anything like, Oregon and Washington. And
Yeah.
everybody gets all squishy on the road and all that, but there might be traffic in certain areas at certain times, but people are letting you go and they're just waving. They're just more happy over there for some reason.
Yeah. Is that what Mahala is? I know Aloha, it's like you can use it for hello, goodbye, but is Mahala more about the vibe, like peace and
No, mahalo is thank you.
oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. So Lisa, actually I just thought of something. So yesterday you were flying from Hawaii back to Grants Pass, and of course you had a layover in Portland, and then you got delayed by the weather. But I was reading your comments, and what did you do in relative to the delay? What was the choice that you made?
Oh, they gave me a choice of flying out, taking a different flight at 10 o'clock at night, or sitting, and they may be able to get out. And so I chose to just work in the airport in my gate. And I don't know, it was maybe about an hour later, they said the fog lifted in Medford and they were able to get the flight out. And they upgraded me to first class and got me to Portland. They had said, to Medford, they had said if they got to Medford and the fog was heavy again, or if something had changed, they would turn around and bring us right back. I didn't know if I was going to do a loop-de or if I was going to go home, but I had my computer and I could work 100% right there, so that I just was ready to work in the airport.
Yeah. And you were prepared. You had your computer.
Yep.
You knew you had stuff. You had plans. You had action steps to take. And you just took advantage of it. You didn't, like Dorothy said in a chat post a moment ago, you didn't react. You responded.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
It was not worth getting upset about, and you can't worry about the weather. But, most of what we do, unless we have to be on property, we can do directly from our computers. So, and nobody, most people didn't even know I was out of town. So
Yeah. It's amazing. And you got first class to boot. I mean, I'll tell you,
that
I know
was
some people say,
unusual.
yeah, but see, some people will say that's just coincidental. That's just luck. I think it's all related. I can't prove it to you scientifically, guys. I just know when you do things like what Lisa did, where you responded and not reacted like Dorothy suggested, it's just, things just come to the universe just responds to you, call it karma, call it goodwill, whatever. But when you're operating at a higher level of energy instead of the lower level of energy, that's when the creativity happens. That's when good things happen. So I'm going to kind of go on this one little tangent here for a second, then we'll wrap things up. But if you can measure your energy level, and it's possible to do that, by the way, there's cameras that can record your aura, your energy field around you. The highest level of energies are like light. Pure light is the highest, level of physical energy. Metaphorically or philosophically, love is the highest level of energy, and I do believe that. Low level energy is like anger, hatred, fighting. Low level energy, right? We all experience all of it. You're different. If any one day we could be from one extreme to the other, right? But when you recognize that you do have a choice, that you can respond either with low energy or high energy, for example, puts you in control. You ever notice how angry people, if you're not careful, will make you angry too? Kind of crazy how that works. But you can choose to operate from a high level of energy, right? And just be at peace and, just keep your barrier, the magical, invisible bubble around you that anger and hatred can't penetrate. And you respond with a smile, respond from peace. I've never had anybody punch me in the face when I responded with a smile and a peaceful gesture. Never happened. So, in any case, just amazing how that works. We'll someday we'll talk more about energy and things you can do to lift your energy. It is definitely something you can practice and get better at. Okay. Again, it doesn't mean it's easy. It just means that it's possible for everybody. And there's techniques you can learn to do that. So it'll help you in transactions. It'll help you at closing tables. And I can't tell how many closings I've been to where literally the lawyer would have to separate people in different rooms. Anybody ever had that happen? Put the buyer side in one room, seller another. Oh yeah. So, I mean, it's difficult. It's hard. It's not an easy thing, but it can definitely be done. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it. So, okay, guys.
Hey, Gary, Henry has a question. I think he's.
Henry. Yeah. Go ahead, Henry. You can unmute yourself.
Hey, how you doing, Gary?
I'm doing great. How you doing, man?
Awesome. So my question is, I guess it's two parts to it, but I'll just leave it at A, just for time constraints. How do you hold yourself accountable? It sounds straightforward, but how would you follow up with yourself? If that makes, that's the question I have. It's great, beginning of the year, you have all the motivation, and then life starts lifing. So how do you hold yourself accountable when March, April, and those trenches start occurring, and that time goes on?
Oh yeah. Well, I tell you, it actually all starts with the vision statement, Henry. When you write it down, it becomes real. I can't emphasize that enough. When you write it down, the vision exercise, it becomes real. And then you have a goals document that came about as a result of your vision statement. Then through the plan, and you have the exercises, of course, you do the actions exercise. Ultimately, you have a plan. So what holds me accountable, personally speaking, is actually this right here. This daily planner. I got to. You have to have one, guys. Whether it's your own yellow notepad or it's something you get from Walmart for $3 or $4, some type of a plan where you can take what you're writing, write vision, goals, and actions and plans, and put that into the planner. That's your personal accountability. But the other thing, Henry, is aside from the vision keeping you on track, that's one of the benefits of it is I don't have to think about it, and neither do you. That vision will pull you forward. When you write it down, it becomes real. But also, you guys, everybody here on the call, every week we meet, and every Monday we meet, and then the second Wednesday every month we meet. So, seeing you, speaking with you on one-on-ones, meeting with you, having our small group sessions like the Commercial Mastermind, that also holds me accountable because I realize, what do we need to do next on the team? What's something that the team could use to be a better producer, to attract more of their agents, things like that. I go out and I go find those things, right? And I don't want to let you down, right? I never want to let anybody down for that matter, but that's part of human nature is we don't want to let each other down. So when you work together as a team, like you and Deb, Henry, by the way, hopefully your ears were ringing today because Deb and I met and we were talking about you. And I can't believe all the things you said, man. No, just kidding. That was all good. So you're doing awesome. And I already knew it. I knew you were from the moment I met you. She said the same thing. You've got everything you need, all the the basic skills, the raw talent, and you're already executing. It's just amazing to see you grow and develop. So one of the benefits of putting all this on paper, vision, goals, action plans is, you always do a yearly review, look back over it. In fact, this is what I recommend. Every night, look at your planner and make sure you check things off. You should check them out during the day, by the way, because that feedback keeps you going throughout the day. Don't just do it at the end of the day. Do that. Check those things off daily. That is positive feedback. That's accountability to the nth degree. Then weekly, you should go through, review the prior week. Some things you missed, or you got to do over, or you got to do something else because you did that one, right? You're planning the next week. Then each month, I plan out the next month. Okay. I review the prior one, plan out the next one. And do the same thing in a year. So I literally do this on an annual basis, monthly basis, weekly basis, and daily basis. Okay. That's how I do it. But in any case, just doing that one part, that one piece, that's your sort of a tool you use, the planning document, your daily planner. I used a Franklin Covey planner. It cost me about $50 a year, but it is so uncannily aligned with what we're doing. And it comes from Stephen Covey, which kind of makes sense. That was my first real teacher. And I was lucky because I actually learned from him directly. I had no idea who the guy was. I was just like 25 years old. And all I could think about was, going out with the guys and getting a beer after work. I wasn't thinking about, in fact, I didn't even use the planner for 3 years. And I got married and I thought, I better grow up here and start to act like an adult. And I pulled that thing out and started using it. Been doing it ever since, more than 30 years. Crazy. Wow. It's been, more than 30 years, probably 35 years. I've been doing that 1989. So, makes a huge difference. It'll save you so much time. Guys, I can't begin to tell you, so many people I meet, they don't have a plan. And I swear they spend half their time trying to figure out what they should be doing. Has anybody ever been there before? And I have been too. I've been there before. When you find yourself thinking constantly, what do I do now? What should I do first? You waste so much time, right? And sometimes you end up doing something else just because it's filling the time. Sharpen the pencils, catch up on your emails. You could, all these things we give ourselves, like we rationalize that they're valid tasks. And I'm not saying they're wrong or bad, but man, I'm telling you, when you got a solid plan based on a clear vision, you're not going to have any wasted time. It won't even be part of your vocabulary. I could probably, I'm told to never give guarantees from EXP or from even my own self. I am telling you, when you have a good, solid plan based on a good, clear vision, you will never find yourself without something to do. I'm not saying you should be busy 24/7, 7 days a week. Make part of your plan going to the beach on Sunday with your family. Make part of the plan golfing with your buddies on Saturday. Whatever it is, put it in there. Make it real. Write it down so it becomes real. So when you relax, you really relax. I can't tell you when I was in the corporate world, and our boss used to say, when you're at work, you're here at work. You shouldn't be thinking about your family. When you're home with your family, you shouldn't be thinking about work. And I felt bad because nothing was further from the truth. Because when I was at work, I was thinking about my kids. When I was at home, I was thinking about work. And I realized we're not two people. We're one person, right? And work is an environment. Our children are an environment. And when I started realizing that and treating myself as one whole person, it allowed me to take more seriously and appreciate this planner. So I know it sounds crazy. Gary, you got to plan time out for your kids? Yeah. That's the way I make sure it happens. Okay. That's how serious I am. That's how serious it is. I make sure it happens because I've written it down. It's going to become real. Does that make sense, guys?
Thank you so much, Gary. Yeah, that was super helpful.
Yep. Yeah. Remember, as far as we know, guys, we're only on this planet one time. This is not dress rehearsal. This is the real deal. And that clock is ticking. Okay. So you can't change the clock, but you can, like Dorothea said, you can change how you respond to the clock. How are you going to use your time? You either be smart, plan it, right? And be flexible. Remember, the top part of my action steps are in ink. Those are things that happen no matter what. Prayer, exercise, meditation, time with my children, time with my parents, things like that. And everything that's in pencil is pretty much everything else. So, but you have to put it in pencil because sometimes you have to make adjustments. That's why you put in the block spare time so you can make adjustments. But in any case, treat yourself like you're gold because you are, right? Treat yourself like you're gold. I'm going to give you one analogy and then we'll wrap this up. So I learned this from a guy named Doug Bench, and he was a judge in Ohio. His last name was Bench, which I thought was ironic. And he had written a book on how the mind worked. I remember asking him, why didn't you write a book on the law? And he said, because I was diagnosed with COPD several years ago, and he said I was dying. And his wife tried everything to get him cured. And they finally figured out that the cannabis, whatever the part of it is that CBD worked really well with people with COPD. But in Florida, where he retired to Florida, couldn't get it. So they had to literally drive to Colorado to get it and then drive back because you couldn't ship it in the mail. It's illegal. And then eventually moved to Colorado and lived there for 3 years. In any case, he's telling me the story. And we started talking about our kids and we talked about our daughters. And my daughter, thankfully didn't cause me any trouble at all growing up. I remember her very first date, when the date brought her home at 10 o'clock versus 9:15, I told her to get in the house and I walked him out to his car and read him the riot act. And I think I bought myself another year of having Annie and that boy keeping himself in place. But in any case, here's what came out of it. He was talking about his daughter, my daughter, and how he in court one time had a teenage daughter come in and her parents were getting ready to put her in a detention center, juvenile detention center. And she had gotten pregnant, right? And he was talking, he said, come to the bench. And he was talking to her about this, how it happened. The guy, of course, handsome and told her he loved her and all this stuff. I'm sure all the women here know the drill. You guys are, we'll be in love, to the nth degree, it's in the heat of passion. But he looked at her and he said, look, there's all kinds of people in the world, just like there's all kinds of minerals in the world. The most expensive mineral is gold, and the least expensive mineral is like the gravel on your driveway that everybody walks over. He said anybody can find gravel and pick up gravel and throw gravel and walk on gravel. He said, but gold is very rare. It's very hard to find. It takes a lot of work to mine and earth and dig up that gold. It is extremely valuable because it's so rare. He looked at her and he pointed and said, you are gold in my mind, and I don't even know you. And I know you're gold because I have a daughter that's exactly your age. I know what you're going through. And I know how guys are because I'm a guy too. He said, look, you got one life here. You're just starting out. You're going to be an adult here in about a year. You got to choose. Are you going to let people walk all over you like you're gravel? Or you're going to treat yourself like, and tell those guys and everybody else in the world, they got to work hard to get to your heart because you are that special. And that goes for each of you right here, right now, whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. Treat yourself like gold because you are, okay? Do the process, right? Learn to use it to manifest anything that you want. Just full candor here. What you want will change over the years. What I want now, I just want to be with the people I love. That's what I want. I want to improve the life of every person I meet. That's it. All the other stuff, the material stuff, I've driven Ferraris. I've had 3 boats, lived in some nice houses. I don't need that crap. Believe me, I love architecture. I love modern glass homes, believe me. But I'm not attached to those anymore. What I'm attached to are the people I love, and that's how I want to spend my life. And I think hopefully you'll do the same thing. I think you will. And over time, you'll realize you'll hit your goals. You're going to have the house and the car and the boat, all those things. But, you'll learn that they're fun. They bring moments of joy, moments of pleasure, but they don't bring you fulfillment. But your loved ones, they'll bring you fulfillment. You helping somebody else will bring you fulfillment, particularly if they're in your family. Helping somebody that's struggling with like drug addiction or depression, that's a tough one, man. You help them through that. Be patient. Don't react. Like Dorothy said, don't react. Just respond. Respond with love, kindness, and contribution. Just help them be at peace. You'll be amazed at how somebody will calm down when you are calm. Okay? So in any case, how about if we wrap things up with that? Sounds like a good idea? Yep. That's probably my biggest preaching moment I think I've had all year. And how fitting, the last one of the year. Guys, this is the last time we're going to meet this year. You know that? I mean, on the group. So, yep. Actually, I hope I didn't miss the commercial. No, we didn't. That's going to be Monday the 30th. Thank goodness.
No,
Is that right?
no more Monday nights.
No, the 30th. That's right. I'm sorry. Thank you, PF. Yeah, the 30th we'll be meeting. So, how about that? But listen, you guys have a happy Merry Christmas. If you celebrate Hanukkah, have a happy Hanukkah. If you celebrate Kwanzaa, have a happy Kwanzaa. Just enjoy it. I know actually this is a very unique year because Hanukkah starts on Christmas Day. How about that? It happens about once every probably 12 or 15 years or something. So let's celebrate it with gusto. You know, tell somebody that in your family, your friends, tell them how much you love them. Give them a hug. You know, enjoy the day. And when we come back on the 30th, have your vision exercise, guys. Let's hit the ground running. All right, let's hit the ground running this year. Let's make it happen. Sound good?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a good night. Keep me posted. Let me know if you need anything. By the way, referrals are flying around left and right anymore. Rob
Thank
just
you.
got one. Yep. And in fact, he just gave one away. So, I mean, that was a couple more the other week. I think 2 or 3 in one day. It was crazy. It's the network. It's the power of the team. So keep that in mind. All right. I'm going to quit talking and spend time with my mom because I love her. And I'll see you guys on a one-on-ones. Okay.
Thank you for watching this episode of Monday Night Live. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and go to realestatewithgarywilson.com to join our community and start building wealth today.